Hey, welcome to Panoply Pictures. I was doing movie review, but I don't like doing all that sort of stuff, movie trailer sort of stuff. Who am I to sort of say whatever I think? So I thought there's better and funnier to just check out YouTube channels that I like. So this is Critical Drinker, Scottish dude. His character, I guess, is maybe he is drunk a lot, but his character is that he just sort of drinks a lot and just sort of takes the piss out of movies and stuff. So let's check out some of his stuff. So this is the Tomorrow War, which I thought was a great concept, And these characters, the ones that throw the bone things at people and then eat them, it's like they're crazy. How do you kill those things?
Is a dumb movie. A Frankenstein's monster of a script, awkwardly cobbled together from the decomposing pieces of other, better films, with paper-thin characters, a plot riddled with holes and contrivances, and dialogue so cheesy that it feels like it came from some aborted Michael Bay movie from the early 2000s.
So what I mean? He's brutal, man. He does brutal. And yeah, it was. It's one of those explosion distraction movies, right? Where you're just distracted by the next explosion. So yeah, you don't really get to know the characters too much. There's a little bit, right? Like father and daughter stuff going on and that. But not a lot, no. It's mostly just fucking shooting and things exploding.
Any conventional standard, it's an objectively bad movie that YouTube critics like myself could probably spend hours happily picking apart. And yet, it's also surprisingly fucking fun. It's a film.
Yeah, it was fun as hell. It was I think there's this whole thing these days with films where it's like, it's got to have these massive points, it's got to have these massive concepts. Man, sometimes a movie's just got to be fun so you can just forget about the life you're living for an hour and a half and just drift away. And I think that's what movies are great for.
Film that kept me engaged and entertained for the bulk of its runtime, that somehow made me warm to its cast of goofy, cartoonish characters, and left me feeling weirdly upbeat with its charmingly old-fashioned, happily ever after ending. What the fuck is this?
Yeah, that's a classic Hollywood ending, right? The bittersweet. Something bad happened, but then mostly it was all good. So bittersweet endings are kind of nice in your movies.
Movie, and what's it done to me? As I've come to understand in my time as a movie critic, there's nothing more hilarious and cringe-inducing than a dumb-as-fuck movie masquerading as something high-minded and serious. And
That's true. That is true. I think you have to be self-aware when you're making movies like that, that you are just making a movie for people to have fun with and enjoy.
God knows we've seen enough of them over the past few years. But on the flip side, a film that recognises its own limitations and decides, fuck it, I just don't care, I'm here to have fun. Well,
yeah.
Part of me can't help but respect it.
Yeah.
And the Tomorrow War falls firmly into the latter category. It's not going to win any Oscars, that's for sure.
No.
In fact, it's a pretty mediocre story that's barely saved by a talented cast and some decent action scenes. But in a way, not...
Yeah, really good cast. Yeah. Really good. And I thought the action was pretty good,
None of that seems to matter. It doesn't need anyone's approval. It's not out to win critical praise or meaningless awards, and it's definitely not out to make the world a better place by lecturing everyone on how evil they are. It's a simple, undemanding, old-fashioned kind of movie that's out to do one thing: entertain its audience. And somehow, through some combination of luck and black magic, it actually works. I don't fucking understand it, but let's take a look at it together and see if we can figure it out.
I love this guy. He's so funny. And I think it's because the Scottish and the Australian have very similar kind of sense of humours. Yeah. What are we, the criminal English or something? What did we get caught? I heard that the other day.
The movie opens in the year 2022 with our main man, Dan Forrester, a former soldier now working as a high school science teacher. He's basically...
You've always got to be a former something in these sort of things, right? Or your character wouldn't get given the opportunities or the position that they get given.
An average family man with an average life, but he desperately wants to be something more, and his frustration is compounded when he fails to land a big job he'd been applying for. He's just sitting down to watch a football game with his family when a fucking...
Yeah, that desire for acceptance or achievement or respect is very big with humans, I think.
Wormhole opens in the middle of the pitch, and a bunch of futuristic soldiers come pouring through.
Way to fuck up a good game. I don't watch sports. I would have missed that completely. I would have found out like a day later.
You can say exposition dump. The new arrivals promptly inform the world that they're from 30 years in the future and they need help. A race of alien monsters known as the White Spikes have infested the planet and humanity is getting its ass kicked. Using their remaining resources, they were able to open a wormhole back to before the
Love
invasion
it.
began, and
Good
they're making
visuals.
troops and weapons to help the war efforts. Now, you're probably thinking,
It'd be like you'd have to believe it, right? Like it couldn't just be like these people just appeared in the middle of a soccer match or football match. Yeah, you'd have to believe that what they're saying is real, right?
isn't this a really bad idea to take tens of thousands of people from the past and send them into a future where they'll almost certainly get killed and removed from the timeline?
Yes, 100%. But isn't it that all these people are gonna die or something anyway?
Won't that kind of fuck up future history and further reduce the world's population in the future? But don't worry, the script is like, nah, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
Anyway, as the war drags on, the world starts running low on soldiers.
But that's what it is, right? Like that those people who they're not going to have any more children. They're going to die within that 30-year period or whatever. So that's a lot of people, I guess.
Forcing them to introduce mass conscription, and wouldn't you know it, Dan the man gets called up to fight. Naturally, he's not too keen on this, so he goes to his estranged father James for help in removing the tracking device that he's been fit.
That guy, I can never remember his name. I can't again. He's amazing, man. He's a great actor. I first saw him in that TV show Oz, the Oswald Correctional Facilities, where he plays like a neo-Nazi guy in a prison. I just can't ever see him as anything else. Like he's done a bunch of other things, and he played Santa and all that sort of stuff. But I just still see him as that, white supremacist kind of dude,
With. But then he decides he's still mad at him and tells him to get fucked. I'm sure this won't be relevant.
I think that's how it is sometimes when an actor nails a role so well that it's kind of hard to ever see them as anything else because they've made that so iconic.
Later in the story. Anyway, Dan the man gets zapped into the future with a motley bunch of untrained civilians, and it goes pretty much as well as you'd expect.
They got messed up. You haven't seen it, go watch it. But he got messed up.
However, Dan manages to complete his first mission and reports back to his new commanding officer, who happens to be a woman in her late 30s with the same surname as him. Whatever could this mean?
You're Mary Forrest. I'm Mary Forrest.
It's a good twist, but
wow,
a bit.
What are the odds that Dan's daughter would be one of the few people
It was
still
a bit
left alive on planet Earth? Anyway, she explains that they've been busy developing a toxin to kill the aliens, and all the conscripts from the past have basically just been cannon fodder to prolong the war long enough for them to finish their work. With the war all but long...
That's bad about war, right? There are some people who are sent into battlefields purely to buy time or die, and that's not good, right?
Their plan is to send the toxin back to the past so it's ready to use when the aliens first arrive. I love how the movie frames this as
great
some
visuals,
kind of crazy,
love it.
mind-bending revelation, when it seems like a totally obvious course of action to anyone who doesn't need help dressing themselves in the morning. In fact, why even bother with this toxin bullshit in the first place? If you know where and when the aliens are going to first show up, how about mobilizing the entire world's military to blow them up? Or
that's what I thought. Like, if you're aware of this, what's the problem? Just go and get rid of them.
Just plant a big old nuclear bomb there and detonate it the moment they arrive. I mean, I'm pretty sure...
Yeah, it was like it was in like the Arctic or something, wasn't it? So it's like it's probably going to be okay.
Sure, a thermonuclear blast to the face would solve the problem pretty quickly, toxin or no toxin.
Yeah.
But hey, I guess we need a plot device to fight over. So
Yeah.
they develop their
You need a McGovern. You need a thing that everyone's chasing. Well, what's the point of the movie, right?
toxin, and the aliens attack their base just as Dan's preparing to jump back into the past. And somehow the battle destroys pretty much everything except the time machine. Well, that's lucky. And Dan's daughter sacrifices herself to buy him enough time to escape. Back in the present, Dan figures out that the aliens don't actually arrive in the future. They've been frozen under the ice all this time, and it's only global warming that eventually melts it and releases them.
You serious?
Like, the best scientific minds on the planet never considered this possibility before. Nobody thought to scout out.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. That's pretty bad. Like as a plot device, that's pretty bad. But I get it. They probably got some global warming money from somewhere.
The aliens'
Whatever
future
pads out your
landing
budget,
site,
man.
just in case there was anything suspicious about it.
Not a great plan.
Anyway, because this is a big dumb action flick, the movie culminates in a big dumb action sequence where
Yeah.
Dan the man, his dad James, and a ragtag group of friends head to Russia to find the aliens and kill them, preventing the future war
Oh, I was in Russia. Yeah, probably shouldn't drop a nuclear bomb in Russia. I don't think that would go well. Maybe talk to the Russians first.
from ever happening. And of course, it ends with a final battle against an alien queen that tries to escape the carnage. Then everyone
that
goes
looked
home
cool.
and lives happily ever after. And that's it. That's the plot for the Tomorrow War. I said at the start of this review that this movie is a bit of a dumb Frankenstein's monster
Yeah.
that literally borrows ideas from a bunch of other films, and it's not hard to see the
But that's okay. All films, all stories borrow from other films. I mean, that's just how it works, right? But yeah, I mean, honestly, that's what happens.
influences here. Everything from Starship Troopers to Aliens to Back to the Future to Edge of Tomorrow is repurposed
Yeah.
and recycled to fit the needs of this story. I mean, damn, I know they say if you're gonna steal from the best, but shamelessly ripping off such well-known movies is only going to invite unfavorable comparisons to them. It also
That is true. You do want to borrow from others, but if you borrow too much that it becomes shown that that's what you're doing, then you'll always be like, the second rate Back to the Future or whatever.
leaves Tomorrow War lacking a strong identity
What's that one you ordered it from Wish or Temu or something?
of its own, failing to bring anything new or interesting to the table. Time travel, with all its pitfalls and paradoxes, is a pretty difficult thing to work into any story
Yeah.
without it becoming more convoluted than a Christopher Nolan movie. But I think Tomorrow War's simplistic writing actually works in his favour.
Exactly. If you get too caught up in what ifs with time travel, you get lost. So yeah, I thought they did a good job with that one as well.
Here, it never gets bogged down in paradoxes and predestination because it basically chooses to ignore them and it encourages you to do the same.
I suggest you don't worry about this sort of thing and just enjoy yourself. That goes for you all, too.
Thank you.
The characters are a real
Love that fourth wall break. Anyway, I'm not going to do the whole thing because you should go and check out Critical Drinker and check out his channel. It's just awesome, funny as hell, and very knowledgeable as well in the films and film industry. All right, thank you very much, and I hope you enjoyed it. Go check out their video.